Both of the Pokemon trainers sending out their leads, Metagross and Hydreigon for Zach, up against Aaron's Clefable and Landorus. Now, Clefable coming out is very interesting. In our interview, Aaron mentioned that he thought Clefable just had a terrible lead matchup, which we all saw to be true. But it was sort of the star of his team, and he was expecting it to still be able to do well.
Yeah, well, he's kind of in a similar position in the first game. You know, I think at some level, probably just the way Aaron probably plays this team is that I prefer to use Clefable in the game once and try to figuring my opponent out. And, you know, it's just what I feel most comfortable with. And then maybe later in the series, he kind of adapts to using different Pokemon. So we see him falling back in Clefable here. I do think this lead matchup is actually a lot better than what he got in the first game.
With the Hydreigon?
Yeah, with Hydreigon there, yeah. I mean, Follow Me is going to completely neutralize it for the most part. I'm curious what he'll know about the item because, you know, while Andrew was using that choice specs, we did see, I believe, Life Orb from Zach earlier. So it makes the situation a lot better for Zach than it would have been for Andrew. Where in Andrew's case, he would have had to switch out Hydreigon or just, you know, get eaten up by Follow Me here. He does have the option of protecting and then getting Metagross Mega Evolved in faster than Clefable, which is what I'll expect he'll do here.
Yeah, and Metagross is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve immediately. Double Protect from Aaron, high fives over the Protects. Hydreigon using Dark Pulse, good prediction there. Ironhead double targeted that Clefable. Free damage onto Mega Metagross with that Earthquake. What a really gutsy play there, leaving that open. And leaving that Metagross, Mega Metagross taking about 70% health there on turn 1. Clefable taking nothing. Much better position.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked he made that read, actually. Like, that was, it just, I feel like expecting that to happen is, I don't know, I'm surprised he did that. But I guess he kind of learned from the first game, I guess. That's pretty impressive. I guess it's kind of the other way around, actually. I guess Zach made the opposite read that Andrew made, and this time the read worked. So I guess you're going to see the opposite of what happened then. You know, when Aaron looked like he had super bird. Like, why would you make that play? This is the other side of it.
This is why he made that play.
Fantastic turn.
Yeah.
And also with, I think we've seen Assault Vest and Landorus already. So, you know, Hydreigon's going to have a hard time taking out that Landorus if it does stay in, though. It does not. Wow, we see Heatran
switching
too.
out for Heatran. Aaron is defying all expectations, goes straight for the Heatran. Ironhead onto the Heatran. Aaron is just playing circles around Zach right now, and the Draco Meteor, it misses. Moonblast from Aaron onto Hydreigon. Huge damage from Clefable. That's a one-hit KO. Hydreigon, usually not used to getting one-hit KO'd, usually doing the one-hit KOs to its opponent.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems with it now is it's finally picked up that 4 times weakness. You know, pretty much all the other dragons had one, and it enjoyed not having one for years, but it's learning what all its friends had to deal with now. Aaron's just playing an amazing game, though. That was 2 turns where he made very surprising plays, right? It's like kind of one of the last plays I would think of if I'm going through the options that both players have, but in both cases, it was definitely right. I'm taking big advantages there. Fantastic start for him so far. And now he's still got to be careful. Like
Terrakian's still threatening.
Yeah, Terrakian very threatening to both Pokemon. You know, he doesn't want to take an easy close combat Ironhead here and end up behind. But great positioning so far.
Clefable is going to Follow Me, trying to make sure that Heatran gets off as much damage as possible. Will take an Ironhead from Metagross, dealing a whole lot of damage. Hangs on with 22 HP. Rock Slide, Clefable avoids the Rock Slide. Heatran needs to get off an attack here. Can't be getting another flinch. Heat Wave is going to connect with both Pokemon. No flinches. Going to pick up a KO on Mega Metagross, deal a little bit of damage to Terrakion. And Aaron avoiding the pitfalls of Zach's flinches.
I was gonna say, he's lived and died by those flinches today. But, this time it's Metagross fainting because of it. So
and Aaron, missing the KO because of the accuracy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just kind of Rock Slide for you, right? Gives and takes. So, big 4-2 advantage now for Aaron, though. It's probably going to turn into 2-2 pretty quickly here. I can't imagine Heatran's going to find too much to do the remainder of this game against these 2 Pokemon. He does have the option of at least getting another attack off because of that Rock Slide miss. You know, he could try to fire an Earth Power and Moonblast Terrakian's way. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it protect, though it still then ends up in a position where what exactly is Terrakion doing? I'm interested to see, too, if Aaron's last Pokemon is Kangaskhan, because it would not be very effective here. So if he chooses to go without his Mega, he'll actually probably be in the best possible position for him here.
Yeah, I mean, Jellicent on the field for Zach. We've seen Jellicent wall entire teams. So Aaron has to be keeping that into account when he's making his team selection choices in Team Preview. If Aaron wants to win, he needs to have an ability... Pokemon who have the ability to deal with that Jellicent. Heatran going for the Protect, doesn't want to give that up just yet, but will be eventually taking that out. Clefable also protecting, just trying to scout out and see what Zach is going to do. Zach is going to Rock Slide. I could have told you that one. Jellicent's going to Scald into Heatran as well. So Clefable getting a little bit of extra leftovers recovery. Might be able to survive a Rock Slide with that reduction in power for spread moves.
Yeah, perhaps trying to get Zach to blow his Protect there, perhaps just trying to heal some health there so he can survive the Rock Slide. Either way, kind of a dead turn there, but nothing wrong with scouting here if you're Aaron. You'd really like to get one of Earth Power or Moonblast off on that Terrakion just to get some extra damage on it, start wearing it down. Certainly put it in range where it'd be easier for the back Pokemon to remove it, but Aaron, oh jeez.
Yeah, Rock Slide's not doing it for Zach in the finals. Clefable avoiding the Rock Slide. Earth Power is going to come off from Heatran, going to be able to target that Terrakion down, dealing a lot of damage. Minimize from Clefable. He's, you know, if Rock Slide was missing before Minimize, once I minimize, there's no way Rock Slide can hit. Of course, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Rock Slide's going to hit next turn just because of Minimize.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it didn't flinch after that one. But Clefable both getting that Minimize up and healing some health now. So I think even if that Rock Slide does hit, it's very likely Clefable's going to survive it like a champ now. So probably 2 attacks are going to need to hit it. And now Clefable's a problem. Because now it doesn't have that Follow Me, but if you try to use any single target attacks, it's going over to Clefable instead.
Yeah, but we do see that Zach is able to pick up the KO on Heatran, gets Heatran out of the way, but Heatran did its job. It got Terrakion very low. Anything could probably take out that Terrakion that Aaron has in the back. So it's going to be all up to Jellicent. We've seen Jellicent do it before. It's going to be a slow grind if Jellicent is going to make it work. But that's probably Zach's best hope right now.
Yeah, we see Aaron taking all of his time here. I think that does hint that probably the last Pokemon is Kangaskhan here, and he's going to have to win a slow match. Terrakion is low enough that if it attacks Sucker Punch from Kangaskhan, would likely knock it out. But, oh no, it's Conkeldurr, which I guess has a lot of the same problems. We've seen all of his Conkeldurr's moves, I believe. It is Ice Punch, Drain Punch, Mach Punch, and Wide Guard. You notice none of those moves hit Jellicent very hard, so he's going to have a hard time dealing with it. However,
Conkeldurr also does have the Guts ability. If the burn comes out onto it, we'll be able to deal a little bit more damage.
Yeah, it would be great in a, I guess, in a situation where there were other Pokemon for Conkeldurr to knock out. But those burned Ice Punches are still going to be pretty sad.
Well, at least while Terrakion's out, Conkeldurr can pick up the KO with Mach Punch. A second Minimize on Clefable, just going to be as obnoxious as possible. Of course, Scald missing when you have 2 Minimizes. That's not unexpected there. And Clefable and Conkeldurr up against Jellicent, still a third Pokemon in the back. This is going to be a very rough time for Zach. He can't even hit that Clefable right now.
I was surprised to see Aaron stop taking the time, but I guess the 2 Minimizes, Clefable's confident.
Yeah, Clefable is ready to go on the aggressive, gets the Moonblast off onto Jellicent, and Ice Punch dealing not terrible damage, while Scald onto the Clefable slot. I think Zach's just trying to blow as many of the avoids as possible in this game 1, so he has some saved up for game 2.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy game 1s involving Zach so far, but usually he's been on the other side of them. This time Clefable's just diving everywhere, just water flying all around him, and it just doesn't want to get hit this time.
Yep. And it looks like Aaron is in a very good position here, especially with his third Pokemon in the back. Only 7 minutes left in the battle timer. Clefable going to max out its evasion, going for the second Minimize. You know, it realized that it was a little bit too over-aggressive that last turn. Another Ice Punch from Conkeldurr onto the Jellicent. Gets the freeze. So
why not?
Why not? Yeah.
And the Curse Body.
And the Curse Body and the High Five, too.
Yeah, Skull's not doing a whole lot given the...
Oh, and it connects onto Clefable. Not going to be enough. Needed a critical hit there. Really wanted a burn, too. Leftovers healing up Clefable as Jellicent's just trying so hard to make this work.
Jellicent's been the last Pokemon a few times for Zach, but it hasn't seen anything quite like this yet.
Yeah.
With now 6 levels of increased evasion for Clefable, it's going to be pretty tough to hit. We just still, I think, have that Landorus in the back, but Conkeldurr also can't actually hit Jellicent, so it's going to be tough for Aaron to do any damage here.
Yeah.
He's very likely to win on time. I see, again, he's moving before the time comes up there, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Zach saving us a little bit of time. It goes for the forfeit. Really amazing play from Aaron, though. He really came out strong and made all of the right reads, starting from turn 1.
Yeah, you kind of forget at the end there, just you want to be like, oh, wow, yeah, he hit that Minimize button like a pro.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, prior to that, to get to to that point, he made 2 just amazing plays the first 2 turns where you have to against a player like Zach. He's won almost countless regional championships.
Yeah.
So at that point, you're playing against someone where if you just kind of like make passive plays, try to be predictable, just try to go slow, it's going to be tough to win a match against him. You have to be willing to take risks in a final like this. I just made fantastic reads. Like, those are both pretty crazy plays where, like, they could easily have backfired at him the way he did in the first game of his previous set, but he took it. And he is a game away now from taking the St. Louis Regional Championship.
Yeah, and taking his first Masters Regional Championship from Zach, that's huge. That's definitely a statement from Aaron here to make him a player to watch as we move into Nationals. You can see them on your screen. We're going right into game 2. The aggression's not letting up even between matches. We have to go right in. Zach on your screen here. Thunderous, Trachean, Metagross, Jellicent, Landorus, and Hydreigon up against Aaron's Kangaskhan, Conkeldurr, Bisharp, Clefable, Landorus, and Heatran. And I questioned the Clefable. Aaron questioned the Clefable himself after last game, but it looks like it really came out big for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Zach can be picking Hydreigon, then you want that Clefable. It makes things much more difficult for him. He has to worry about that Clefable switching in anytime. Pretty much anytime it's in the field, it can't do any damage. So Clefable is really a big problem for him. I wouldn't be too surprised to see neither of those Pokemon in this next game. We'll see which sides adjust. I think other than that, both sides probably just thinking, like, well, my Pokemon choice was pretty good, just a matter of how we play the game. Like, I mean, Zach's probably thinking, like, there's no way I let that happen the first 2 turns again. Like, let's get a redo on those. But I think that's some of the fun now for Aaron is that he has that 1-0 advantage. He's still in position to kind of Andrew and actually the semifinal where now he can take those risks, right?
Yeah.
And, it didn't end up paying off for Andrew in the sense that he won the second game because, obviously he did not. But it's fun. It's some of those times in that situation where you get to play a little bit, push the envelope a bit. He's proven he's good at doing that. It makes it that much tougher for the player who's behind.
Yeah, and most crucially, that Jellicent just wasn't able to set up a wall against Aaron's team. And we've seen a lot of that from Zach. He needs to have that Jellicent out there able to wall someone's team. Sends out the Metagross and the Hydreigon. Aaron is going to change up his leads, though. Landorus and Bisharp out in front now. So good calls from Zach not to change much of anything. Still keeps up a lot of pressure against Aaron's 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit better of a matchup for Zach this time. I still have to worry about Landorus choosing to Superpower Hydreigon. I wouldn't be surprised to see him Protect this time. I was kind of expecting a Protect last time as well, but turned out he didn't need to anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty unlikely we'll see Metagross getting Earthquaked again, but I'm sure both players are thinking that's pretty unlikely too, especially with Bisharp on the field.
Yeah.
However, again, Earthquake is going to be harder for Aaron to do here since he would have to do it with a Protect with no ground resist on his team. It's really strange, actually, I guess in retrospect, that we saw that big Earthquake play in the first game, given how hard it is for him to pull those off.
There should be no way for Aaron to get a big Earthquake play.
Yeah, exactly. His team just not conducive to that at all. But I guess you get to the finals, you know how to make it work.
Yep, and Metagross is going to immediately Mega Evolve on Zach's side. Going to go ahead and get the X out, targeting down on Aaron's team with the Protect, of course, because once you Mega Evolve, all you want to do is use that newfound offensive pressure to protect. While Bisharp is also going to Protect, again, probably signaling an Earthquake, but protects away from the Earth Power on Hydreigon and Super Power from Landorus. Another one-hit KO onto that Hydreigon, and Aaron is still playing brilliantly.
Yeah, and that was more the play I was expecting to see the first game, and what he did was better, but again, that's kind of the nice thing about not having made the play the first time is that it's kind of open, right?
Yeah.
And Zach's maybe expecting the pressure to be a Metagross like it was in the first game, and when your opponent expects one thing, you want to give him another. So he gets another big knockout, perhaps an even more important one, just because if he didn't bring Clefable this time, Hydreigon's actually a pretty difficult Pokemon for his team to deal with, so getting that out of the way is a huge deal. Unfortunately for him, Bisharp probably going to have a little bit less fun here with the reduced stats on Landorus. It's likely to want to switch, but still a good situation. A good job of him to get that trade. And now he's just going to have to try to find a way to make sure that it doesn't give up too much getting back into a advantageous board position, and also avoid trying to give up that Substitute. We've seen Substitute being a real terror of this tournament, so he's going to have to try to find a way to avoid giving up any freebies.
Yeah, well, Kangaskhan is out on the field now, going to use that fake-out pressure, potentially Iron Head into the Kangaskhan slot, trying to catch it on the switch, deals a good amount of damage. Close combat from Trachean on that slot as well. Zach, he's not out of this game just yet. He just took down Aaron's Mega in one turn on the switch-in. Kangaskhan not getting to do anything this game. And now Bisharp with the knockoff, going to deal some good damage to Metagross. Not quite as much as he would want because you can't knock off that Mega Stone, but still about half damage there. good damage onto Zach's Mega, and now Landorus back out on the field for Aaron, getting the Intimidate onto both Terrakion and Mega Metagross.
Yeah, easily getting that Metagross down into Earthquake range for Landorus now. And it's also a difficult position for Zach. And we see a lot of Terrakion choosing to use that Focus Sash item, but Zach is choosing to go for the Lumberry instead. So, you know, a big Earthquake could still knock it out in a single blow. He's going to have to be careful here. Landorus has a lot of pressure. We haven't seen Zach's last Pokemon yet. He's probably hoping it's... I guess I'd be hoping if I was Zach that I'd pick Landorus because that Intimidate would help out. But it's tough to actually do that because Bisharp's there trying to check that.
Yeah, need to get Bisharp off the field. We are going to find out what it is. Zach switches his Mega Metagross out for Jellicent. Because of course it was Jellicent. Terrakion using the Protect too, still has the Protect available, hoping to catch an Earthquake here. And Superpower from Landorus actually onto the Terrakion, into the Protect. Iron Head into the Protect as well. So Jellicent out for free, taking no damage, and now is able to just disrupt whatever Aaron wants to do.
Yeah, you can't get the free knockout this time. You're like, finally, a read didn't work for Aaron, but it's actually still a pretty good position for him. Jellicent hasn't shown that Protect yet, so Bisharp is going to have the opportunity just to fire off a knockoff in that slot and do a ton of damage, either to Bisharp or knocking out a Metagross switch in. Terrakion can't Protect this time, so at the very least it's going to have to take a Superpower most likely. There's also the option of Earthquaking instead, which would similarly just be great for Aaron here. So he's in a fantastic spot. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Zach having to fall back on those Rock Slides again just because he's really losing board position fast. But this should be a very important turn for both sides here. Zach's really going to have to find a way to get control of this game quickly.
Yeah, and it will be the Rock Slides. Landorus avoiding. Zach used up all of his Rock Slide luck in the early stages. It looks like a little bit of damage onto Bisharp. Superpower coming out from Landorus, already a little bit weaker, but still able to pick up the KO onto Terrakion. No problems there from Landorus. Is Bisharp going to be able to move, get the knockoff off onto the Jellicent? No, does get the flinch. Scald coming out from Jellicent. Should be targeting down that Landorus, deals a little bit of damage. Is it going to get a burn? No, no burn. So Aaron, gets the flinch, but still manages to take out the Terrakion, manages to take out the threat of flinch now, and is still in very good control of this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's still Iron Head flinches. Let's not get too carried away. You're right. Here. But yeah, definitely a great spot for Aaron here. I mean, he really needs to find a way to get that knockoff off in Jellicent, but Metagross can still substitute. Zach is almost definitely going to need to go for it, I think, here, just to have a chance, or just hope he gets a Sucker Punch in a switch or something to try to get better position. But he's going to need some help here.
Yep, Bisharp is going to Protect, so it looks like Landorus might be going for an Earthquake on both of the opposing Pokemon. Zen Headbutt from Metagross onto Landorus, targeting down. It's a lot of damage, but is it enough? Yes! Landorus going to go down. Metagross picking up the KO there while Jellicent Scald into the Bisharp's Protect. So Zach still making the best of a bad situation, taking out a major threat like Landorus, and Heatran out on the field now for Aaron.
Yeah, so a little bit of a precarious situation for Aaron now. Probably not quite how he wanted things to end up, but he actually is still in a good position here. And without an Iron Head flinch, Metagross is going to have a hard time pulling anything off here.
Yeah.
So he does have a good opportunity here where if he doesn't get flinched, he can just use Heat Wave and Knockoff, probably pick up Jellicent, and close out the game. We just got to hope Bisharp doesn't flinch.
Yeah, Zach's going for it. Iron Head onto Bisharp. Heatran uses Heat Wave, will connect with both enemy Pokemon, dealing very little to Jellicent, but does pick up the KO on Metagross. So now we have to see, can that Bisharp get the knockoff off, or is it going to flinch to the Iron Head? Yes! Of course it is. Bisharp flinching to Iron Head. Will-O-Wisp onto the Bisharp, going to be able to cut its attack. So dealing, making Bisharp a lot worse than it was just a moment ago.
Yeah, and Zach gets a little lucky there.
Yeah.
He dodged it twice, but he's still likely going to have to eat a knockoff here and lose those leftovers. It'll make it a little bit harder for Jellicent to stall it out, but Bisharp's time's going to be limited here. Jellicent will probably just keep clicking that recover button until Bisharp falls.
Yep.
Little bit a daring play on Aaron's end to not try to protect that turn. I believe he had it available to avoid what happened happening.
The Iron Head.
Yeah, probably just trying to avoid risking a situation where Heatran got burned down.
Well, Heatran is going to go for the Earth Power, trying to maybe get some special defense drops. Knockoff still doing a lot of damage. Oh, but the Cursed Body onto Bisharp's Knockoff. That's bad news for that Bisharp. Now it's just going to be doing very little, if not nothing, in these coming turns, and just taking burn damage at will. Knocks off the leftovers, which is helpful, but Heatran up against Jellicent, not a great matchup.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
And now it's not like he can Sucker Punch because Jellicent's going to keep using Recover. So somehow it looks like Zach's going to pull this one out here. Sometimes you do it with Rock Slide and sometimes you do it with weird combinations of flinches and cursed body, but however you have to get it done, they all count for one.
Yeah, Heatran going for the protect while Bisharp is dealing a little bit of damage with the Iron Head. Gets a flinch. Takes some burn damage. Looks like he has two more turns rather, of that burn, unless Jellicent goes on the offensive, which it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It risks a sucker punch, but still a couple of turns. Not enough time left on the clock though to make that, or too much time left on the clock to make that a valid path though. Earth Power from Heatran going to deal some damage. Iron Head from Bisharp trying to get another flinch. Really needs it to prevent the recover. No, Jellicent does not flinch, gets the recover off, and will heal back up to next to full.
Well, I mean, it's the games you get sometimes. I feel a little bit bad for Aaron here. He played a really fantastic game, but these things happen. He's still going to have a third game to try to pull this one out. But Jellicent, once again, going to be the last Pokemon standing, most likely.
Yep, another Earth Power coming out from Heatran, dealing some damage to Jellicent. Gets the special defense drop. If he gets enough of those, maybe. Iron Head back onto Jellicent, not very effective, and gets another flinch.
Oh, I mean, it's not
We're
over
getting
yet.
close.
I mean, critical hit would end it for
critical
Aaron
hit through the drop.
Yeah, I mean, even another special defense drop he's got a shot at. Jellicent is not going to one-shot this Heatran.
Yeah, Jellicent does not have offensive power.
Yeah, it's a very defensive Jellicent, so it's not over yet, I guess, but it's going to take a lot.
It's going to be an uphill battle now, and a very slow grinding battle. As you can see, both players taking their time with the moves. Most likely headed towards a timer win again for this one with Jellicent out, but enough Earth Powers, there might be a way. Some critical hits also might be a way. There's still a couple of outs for Aaron here.
Yeah, so there's a number of options, there's a number of ways this can play out, so it's definitely worth him finishing the game, but definitely a strange one. And it's kind of funny too, into this Heatran Jellicent duel, there's still a chance Heatran can win it, No,
Heatran going for the overheat onto Jellicent, just trying to deal as much damage as possible with the special defense down. Oh, not quite enough. That's the handshake. It looks like Aaron's about to concede this one as Jellicent takes another victim. Jellicent is not worried about just staying till the end of the battle and saying, you can't hurt me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough Pokemon to deal with. That was with those recovers, those cursed bodies. If you can get rid of the Pokemon that do super effective damage to it, it's really tough to take out. And Aaron doesn't have too many options on his team that do that. Bisharp is the obvious one, but the only other Pokemon he has with a move that's super effective against Jellicent is Kangaskhan, who can't actually get that off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like Aaron's just fishing for some crits through the special defense drop with that overheat. Now that Jellicent's all the way back up to full, not likely to matter at this point. Good game from Aaron. A couple of bad rolls that went his way, which made it so that he was unable to take the W here, but he was very much in control for most of the game. He has a lot that he knows about Zach's team now that he can use going into Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, probably a little frustrating to lose a game like this if you're Aaron, but I mean, all you can do is okay, I know I played probably a better game here.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it twice in a row now. I can take Game 3. Just have to kind of adjust. I know a lot of players in situations like this occurs. It's easy to get very frustrated. Play the next game worse. He's got to avoid doing that here. Just realize, he made the right decisions that game for the most part. He plays another game like the first two. He's got a good chance of winning. He's going to have to readjust.
Yeah.
Don't let that last game linger, because I think that's one thing that does lose a lot of players series, where especially if you lose one that you feel like you should have won, it's easy to kind of get mad at the game. Get mad at yourself, get mad at your opponent, just not focus on doing your job.
Yeah, you have to remember that this game is over. This game, no matter what happens, this is over. Zach takes the W with the Scald on Heatran finally, and we're moving on to Game 3. Game 3 is an entirely new game. Anything that just happened in that last second game won't matter for this one.
Right, so both sides need to adjust here, and I guess kind of the same thing for Zach. On the other side here, he's probably thinking well, I'm lucky to have survived this one, but I still have life. I've got another game here. I probably want to play this in a way that I can get down to that situation a little bit more safely, right? But he only has to win one more, so just gotta think about this. Okay, how do I manage this game a little bit differently so I don't end up in quite the same situation as last time? To make a few more plays than he made in the last game. And Zach is going to, could once again be your regional champion. So we got a tight game here. Either side now just need one or two big plays to get that win and take it all home here. 20 CP and the title of regional champions on the line here. Both these guys probably pretty happy having 100 championship points, but 120 is a lot better.
It's a little bit better, yeah. All right, well, we are getting into Game 3 now of our deciding best-of-3 set. Decide who will be our regional champion here in St. Louis. Will it be Aaron Traylor, who had some unlucky breaks that second game, but a very strong game 1? Or will it be Zach Drakamp, who has won so many of these regionals before and has been playing a phenomenal set on stream for this top 8? We'll find out as soon as we hop into the game here. Zach on your screen now. We'll be looking at his team: Thunderous, Terrakion, Metagross, Jellicent, Landorus, Therian Form, and Hydreigon, up against Aaron's Kangaskhan, Conkeldurr, Bisharp, Clefable, Landorus, Therian, and Heatran. So real close game. Aaron looked like he was in control of it, and it just barely slipped through his fingers. Does he need to do more to prevent himself from getting in that situation, or what does Zach need to do to make sure that he doesn't have to rely on some of those smaller win chances?
I mean, I think Zach just has to be more careful at the beginning of the game. We've seen 2 in a row now where he just dropped Hydreigon for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to have to be a lot more careful with that. I think he's going to have to defend his Metagross a little bit better. Even though it ended up helping make some big plays last game, I feel like it's had a hard time getting too much done here. As it's so hard to play these games from behind, especially against a team that's as aggressive as Aaron's. And we see Aaron going through a very different strategy than he did for the first 2 games.
Yeah, Aaron falling back on his Clefable and Kangaskhan up against Metagross, Hydreigon. So Zach bringing Hydreigon every game this set, compared to what we saw in the top 4 match with Aaron, making Clefable a better choice here. But, you know, it's still going to be interesting with that threat of Mega Metagross right next to Hydreigon.
Yeah, I actually really like this by Aaron if he was expecting the same leads, even though he's very likely to drop Clefable in a turn or 2 here, because there's problems with Zach just double protecting now. Like, it's the play you want to make. He hasn't done it yet, to his credit, but like, you know, you don't want to just cough up Kangaskhan getting a free power-up punch. You don't just cough up Clefable getting that minimized. So you have to make plays now, and Zach has had trouble so far this series making plays against Aaron. Aaron's been the one who's been able to make the read so far, and this is a lead that creates a lot of pressure.
And we are going to have Kangaskhan Mega Evolve right away. Going to see if Kangaskhan's going to go for some of that fake-out pressure, maybe get some help Clefable get minimized up so Clefable can help Kangaskhan get some power-up punches. Mega Metagross coming to the field, going to threaten that Clefable a whole lot with that steel typing. And it looks like we're going to have the fake-out coming out from Kangaskhan onto the Mega Metagross, going to make sure that Mega Metagross doesn't target the Clefable this turn. Critical hit as Hydreigon's Draco Meteor targets the Kangaskhan. Going to deal some good damage. Not choice specs, as we saw. May not be able to pick up the KO here, but Life Orb still dealing a lot of damage. 8 hit points. Aaron's Pokemon clearly trained with care, as a flinch from the fake out and Moonblast from Clefable going to pick up the KO on Hydreigon. So, you know, Hydreigon gets a lot of damage onto Mega Kangaskhan, but it does go down to the Moonblast.
Yeah, it comes at a cost this time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at least it finally gets an attack off. I feel like it's had a really rough go this series. But the downfall of having a Pokemon that's that low on health, if you're Aaron here, is that, you know, we've seen plenty of Rock Slides, and that's not something that Follow Me is going to have any trouble or going to have any ability to redirect here. So, Kangaskhan pretty much a sitting duck here. And the problem with this, too, is that, you know, a Rock Slide substitute is now a very easy play to make if you're on Zach's side. And Metagross getting that substitute is going to be really difficult to recover from Aaron's end here. If he has Landorus, at least he can get that double Intimidate on and start reducing the pressure some. But definitely a tough position for Aaron's side now.
Yeah, he does not want to be in this position. May have wanted that Kangaskhan to actually go down to the Draco Meteor so he could get the free switch in and not have to just have the sitting duck of Kangaskhan on the field here. Clefable still has some options, decides to go for the Protect. Kangaskhan stays in, hoping that it can maybe dodge a Rock Slide. Metagross is going to get the substitute up, and it looks like we are going to see the Terrakion's Rock Slide protected from Clefable, avoided from Kangaskhan, and the return coming out to break that substitute on Zach's side. You know, you live by the Rock Slide, die by the Rock Slide. That's just how it works sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Aaron almost doesn't get that much out of it in the way it played out. I mean, removing the substitute's great, but now he's in the same situation he started in. So it kind of
not much changes.
Yeah, it kind of just needs it to go down, though. I mean, I guess the more times this happens, the more tempted you are as Zach just to go for an Iron Head, and then there's always the opportunity to make the Sucker Punch play because of that.
Yeah, and here is the Sucker Punch play. The Sucker Punch from Mega Kangaskhan dealing a lot of damage to Metagross, going to pick up the KO. Mega Metagross faints to the Sucker Punch. baiting him into that Sucker Punch play there. Rock Slide from Terrakion will connect this time, finally picks up Kangaskhan. But Kangaskhan at 8 hit points should not have been able to get off a KO there. It's amazing what that Kangaskhan did. Moonblast from Clefable onto Terrakion, going to deal a lot of damage back. Not quite enough for the one shot, but stays alive with just a little bit of HP there and a little bit of stat drops there, but Terrakion's not too worried about that.
There'll be no rock type hit power from Terrakion today. Obviously, big plays there by Kangaskhan. Not too often your 9 hit point slower Mega manages to trade evenly with the other Mega. A little bit strange there. We got a little fortunate dodging that rock slide, but you know, it's gone both ways this series for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting Bisharp out now is pretty fantastic for Aaron here. He's kind of in the same situation last game, where just needs to not get some flinches. It's almost identical, but Clefable with so much health here is going to really make that easier. Get more chances at it with that follow me. Jellicent can't protect, so just one knockoff getting through Rock Slide here would likely end the game.
And with such low health on Terrakion, Sucker Punch might even be enough to pick up the KO there.
Yeah, I would expect it will. I mean, I don't know if I would risk that one or not, but it would certainly remove the threat of the
flinch.
I guess it's just because of it took Jellicent and Terrakion so long to take out Clefable. I think the odds are probably worth it. It looks like Terrakion is afraid of that Sucker Punch.
Yeah, uses the quick guard, protects the opponent's team, but knockoff from Bisharp onto Jellicent, going straight for the Jellicent. One hit KO. I bet that felt good for that Bisharp after last game.
Yeah,
and
finally.
minimize from Clefable, just trying to make sure that nothing can possibly hit that Clefable this turn. And it's just Terrakion at yellow hit points up against Clefable and Bisharp. And that should be the game for Aaron.
You're going to like that prediction, though, even though it didn't really matter. Like, he was that confident Terrakion wasn't going to attack that he attacked Jellicent and get the minimize off. I like that.
Close combat from Terrakion, of course. The focus sash on Bisharp, not going to worry too much about that. Hangs on by a thread thanks to the focus sash. And it looks like Bisharp will finally be able to take home the championship here as Terrakion's defenses fall. And Iron Head connects with Terrakion, picks up the KO, the handshake, and Aaron Traylor has just become your 2015 Pokemon Video Game Championships Winter Regional Champion here in